I I tried to describe this in the email and then in the syllabus as well. And what I've been told is that for most people, regardless of how many times I talk about it, I need to describe it one more time. And that has to do with both the textbook and how attendance works in this class. This is
Mhm.
not a lot. This is an independent class you can do online. You don't have to interact with anybody if you don't want to. However, every week I do a recording so that the people can show up and we can have a little bit of a discussion. I can go over the things that we need to talk about and explain answer questions, different things like that, resolve concerns. Then, and while we do that, that's recorded so that as close as possible afterwards, I upload it onto our class YouTube channel and show you kind of what that looks like. And I put a link into our attendance. And I will show you what that looks like right now. I'm going to do another screen share. Okay. Right. Okay. Can you see me at all? Or can you see the
Yeah,
screen? Because
you
things
froze for a second.
Okay,
So,
because from my end, it made a whole bunch of like bubble sounds, and it was
yeah,
really odd.
I couldn't hear you for a little bit.
Okay, well, um, I'll just go ahead and repeat what I was thinking I was saying.
Okay.
But this is what the course looks like from my end. And for attendance, there are a couple assignments that are already there. Like this is something just to read. A lot of these are to read. And then there are assignments to actually do as well. And each week, I'll change the date on this and upload a, a link to that week's um, recording. And it kind of looks like this. What we're going to be doing for each week is everybody will be responsible for either attending the meeting live or watching the recording. If you're desperate for a good grade, you can do both, but you don't need to. And then in order to get points, and there's 5 points possible, what you'll do is write in 5 things that you noticed during the meeting or that you learned during the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, uh, you could hear my dog whining in the background, my shirt color, something that we talked about, somebody's comment on something, any of those things to just validate the fact that you either watched the recording or attended live. And that's how you get the attendance for each week. And there's a couple reasons I do that. One is, and a big one, is that I want people to communicate with me about concerns that they have, if things are getting done, if it looks like too many things are due, what questions they have and stuff like that, so I can talk about them during these weekly things, and so you have updated answers. And a lot of the time, uh, that really helps with just clarifying some of the details.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
It looks like I'm having a little bit of a problem with sharing. So we're gonna try to do this and hopefully it'll work. All right, can you see the YouTube?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is what that looks like. And there'll be this is what the recordings are. with the date for whatever the recording is. It's obviously from last semester. There are playlists for each of these things. And this is basically what it kind of looks like. And when we do this, I will send you the links. It'll go right to this kind of a page, and you can watch it. And then you'll also have other, you'll also be able to see what the playlists look like, playing around with it a little bit. And other assignments that we have, and I'll get back to that right here. Other assignments that we have deal with, some of them will deal with videos that students are supposed to turn in. And we get down here to, I believe it's 7C. If you have the artist research option, you're going to do PowerPoint presentations, and everybody will see PowerPoint presentations. Another assignment that people are going to be doing is applying the tools of artistic critique, where everybody will do a 3 to 5 minute critique of their own work and a 3 to 5 minute critique of somebody else's work. And I will also send those videos out so everybody can see those if they want. A lot of the times during our class time, I will go through and we will watch these videos together when they do come in, when they start being submitted, or we will watch the artist research PowerPoint videos when they're submitted, and that's how that works. So people will be able to see um, uh, other videos of other students interacting and things like that. And sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked because I'm trying to find where I am in my material. Okay, here we are. So that's how all that works. And what I wanted to do today as well is um, go through some of these things and explain a little bit about what's going on, why everything isn't published, and also show a couple examples of previous iterations of this assignment. Uh, a big thing that we do in this class, because I don't know, this is confusing to some people because I use language that is kind of bullying almost in the syllabus because I want people to take it seriously. But one of the things we'll do in this class, because we don't meet regularly in person, is when people submit stuff, we'll go over and critique everybody's things that are being submitted. Uh, the due dates, it sounds like I'm really harsh on the due dates. I've never denied anybody an extension for anything. Um, but I also, the due dates are there to keep people on track and keep people pushing forward. So I don't think last semester I docked anybody any points for being late on anything, because most people weren't. I mean, you have a 3-day grace period, and if you need more time, you let me know, and it's not that big of a deal. But one of the things that we will do is after the due date for an assignment, the next Wednesday, we're going to look at what everybody submitted and we'll critique it. And in this class, I critique it. I do critiques quite a bit different than what other people do. I don't tell you what you have to change. And I don't tell you how the manifestation of your thoughts is wrong. I've had critiques like that where it was obvious the person, since they didn't know who I was, had no idea what I was doing. And that's really frustrating. Our critiques and we'll go over that in just a minute. Our critiques are assessments of basically whether or not this thing is well done and if it fits the criteria for the assignment. We are not here to make masterworks. We're not here to leave a mark on the world for everybody else to see for the purposes of this class. You might do something that is just spectacular that you're super happy with, but a lot of the times what we want to do is make sure that the artwork fits the parameters of the assignment and that it's made well. We're not trying to make strong political statements or anything like that, and that's not what you're getting critiqued on. So
Sounds good.
so let me. I'm going to do a screen share again with my view. And then all right, it froze again. That is that's aggravating. Okay, we're going to try to do this again. All right. Okay, can you see this page? It
Yes.
says module. All right. I use Feldman's model of artistic critique, and I like that because it applies to, and it can apply to absolutely everything that anybody ever does in their life. It's a 4-step model, and I want everybody to watch this video, and I will include it into the attendance thing. So whether or not you're here live, um, everybody will also have to watch this video by itself. I've
So
been,
I have a question.
uh-huh.
So a lot of the things that you have in the modules, um, like how can you tell if somebody read, I mean, watch a video? Because I've read and I watched this one, read most of it, and but how can you tell? Because there's not really, it's not part of an assignment kind of thing. So I don't know how you can really see that.
Well, it's honor system, but also everything you do in the future depends on it. So if you don't do it and you lie about it, then it'll show up in later grades.
Okay.
Um, the way that my system is set up as well, we go right here. Each of the modules where you do something, it says complete all items right here. What that means is that the person has to go through each one in sequence and actually open it up and look at it and interact with it somehow.
Yeah, I
And
just
they
don't
can't,
get those check marks. I get the complete all items up there, but I don't, let me double check, but I don't get all of the check marks that I've done it. It doesn't show like that. Yeah.
well, and I don't know if that's an issue with Canvas itself or what. Um, whether or not
Yeah.
you get the check marks, whether or not you can see them, the things that get is um, like the quiz to grade and the assignments, like right here, the assignments that when they come in,
Mhm.
this is set up so that if you open up the module and you try to go right to the artist review, it will not allow you to submit it unless you've opened up all these other things as well. So whether or
Mhm.
not the check marks are showing up on your end, it doesn't allow you to submit things until you go through each of the elements.
Okay, yeah, because it says, for example, introduction January 7th. Um, and then, yeah, I only get, okay. Yeah, that was my question because I don't see, and I've seen pretty much everything and I don't see the check marks. The only one that I see the
Yeah.
check mark on is the introduction, which is the first one. That's it. Just letting you know
Yeah, and
that
that's
I don't know.
aggravating to me because that has been something that I've been trying to work on for the last 4 years. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't.
Okay.
For my class and for the classes that I take as well. And it can be, especially I have OCD, so it really frustrates me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been able to pretty much access every single thing on module 1, so I haven't had any problem. It's not that. It's just I didn't know why it was a little bit of confusing in the fact that it didn't have, a way of knowing like the check mark on the side because it had a due date. So there's nothing to really confirm,
Yeah,
that you've
that's
done it
all.
basically.
That's all
Hmm.
honor system, and I put those dates there specifically so people can stay on track because you don't get any points for it at all.
Okay.
The only things you get points for are the quizzes or the assignments, which in this
Hmm.
case are the quizzes, artist review, sculpture-based photography, the discussion, and the work log.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so we're going to continue now to back to this page. Um, one of the things that I think is interesting about artistic critique is that everybody deals with it differently. And I'm sorry, before I go on, Mabel, did I answer that question?
Yeah, the canvas isn't working in some cases for some people. That's the
Yeah,
answer,
now,
I guess.
because I've taken several classes as faculty as well, and I'll be coasting along, all the check marks will be going, and then there'll be a module where none of the check marks work. And I talked to the tech support guys, and they said they had no idea.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
so that's excellent.
Hmm.
Anyway, by excellent I mean it's not. It's irritating.
Yeah, I see.
But these videos, I will put a link to this video in the attendance. And for this week's attendance, you'll be required to, one of the 5 things you'll say has to come from this video. So you do need to watch this video. And the reason why we're not watching it right now together is because since these are put on YouTube, I have gotten copyright dings, even though I follow all the guidelines. So
Mm.
aggravating. Anyway, so the Feldman's model of artistic critique is essentially 4 steps that we have to take in sequence. We work on describing, we analyze, we interpret, and we evaluate. Notice there's nothing in here that gives us permission to tell an artist what they need to do to improve. And there's nothing in here that tells us to tell the artist that they screwed up. When we hear the word critical, a lot of the times it has a negative connotation. Critical actually just means with intent, and that's all it means. We're doing it on purpose. So when we're critique, as an outgrowth of that word, means we are talking about something with intent. We're talking about it on purpose. And when you do your critiques for future things, and though there's a couple of simple assignments at the beginning, and then towards the end, we're doing more and more involved things using the model of critique. Make sure that you pay attention to the questions here and the vocabulary, because this is one of the rationales for the existence of this class is to make sure that everybody in the art department is aware of these words and knows how to use them and understands how to articulate when they look at a piece of art and talk about it. So description, we are talking about just the way the thing we're looking at manifests into the perceptible world. We're looking at height, length, depth. We're looking at volume. We're looking at color. We're looking at style. The things that are essentially physical traits if we're talking about a physical object. And it's always a good idea to look at these questions. A lot of the times when people do their own critiques, they'll have this screen up and they won't read the question out loud, but they will say the answer out loud to the question while they're looking at the art. And when we analyze, we're kind of extrapolating from what we see and describing or talking about how we think the artist or the builder put it together. What are the things that they did to make sure it looks the way it does? That's where we might talk about injection molding or carving or sanding, or we might talk about how the paint was applied. All those kind of how kind of questions go into the analysis. When we interpret, it is very hard to guess what somebody else says about their work, but by looking at it, we can make the assumption that what the artist did is on purpose. If we make that assumption, then when we see symbols, we can say, hey, it looks like they're using this symbol, and perhaps this is what they mean. We can also talk about what we think it means to us. When we do the interpretation, though, we have to use words precisely so they underscore our interpretation. We have to point out specific symbols that this is perhaps what the person was talking about. Or if they used jagged textures, what does the jagged texture mean? A lot of the times it means somebody's in a hurry or they're agitated. So that can go into the interpretation. We may need to look at the context. What's the historical context of what they're doing? Those are all really important questions to have in your mind as you're going through the interpretation process. And then finally, building on what you described, how you figure they put it together, and your interpretation of either what the artist meant or how you're responding to it, that is when you can evaluate. That's when you can determine, does this have value? Does it have value to the culture? Does it have physical value? Does the value of it come from the fact that it provided an experience of learning for the artist or to share with you something? All those types of ideas can go into evaluating. And then these are the words that we need to use as we're talking about and as we're using our precise language to justify the observations we're making as we describe, analyze, interpret, and evaluate.
Very interesting.
And when you go back to the burden of glorious purpose and you watch this video, so that I'm trying to get to, what I would recommend is watching this video twice, perhaps, and watch it once just to introduce yourself to the terms, read through those four steps of Feldman's model of artistic critique, then watch the video again. And what you'll see right away is that the people being involved in the narrative, as they're talking about what they see, they are using those four steps and they're using them very clearly. And I think this video is only about 6 minutes long. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 6.5 minutes long. So it's not that long of a video, but it does an excellent job uh, talking about these kinds of ideas. Now I'm going to get back to modules again. So that's what that is. That's what those two things talk about. And I also made a short quiz here. And this is one of the things I think, Mabel, that frustrates me quite a bit. I can't really show what the quiz looks like unless we start taking it. So let's see. It is published. I'm trying to get to the point where we can actually look at it. Okay, here we go. So the questions in the quiz deal with those four tools of artistic critique and what you learned from the video. And so, and there's like 5 or 6 questions, something like that, but it just goes through, and all it is to give you an opportunity to kind of process that information. So there's 7 questions altogether. And once you get that done, this is the first time I've done the quiz, and I would really appreciate some feedback from the people. And if everybody thinks it's stupid and we need to cancel it out, then we'll cancel it out. We'll get rid of it. And it looks like I did not put a due date on it. So I'll put a due date on it. Okay, so we do have a quiz for the tools of artistic critique. Now for the critiques, notice here, they are not due until April. You know, it's
Yeah.
quite a ways out. But I want people to go through this now because there are several little assignments and like the interaction and discussions in module 2, and also as you're going through your research and everything, where it's really good to have that information. And that's why I want people to read these things now, and we have the quiz due this Sunday. Now, again, like with everything else, um, there's a 3-day grace period, so you actually have until next Wednesday to get it done. But I really would like people to get this done as quickly as possible. It's simple stuff to deal with, but it's really, excuse me, it's really important for the rest of our time together in the semester. And so that's why I want people to work on it right away.
Yeah, and what was the name of the quiz again?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I'm just looking at mine just to make sure I'm like
Okay,
familiar with it.
you may need to refresh it, but it should have these same titles.
So the first one is prep for first day of class. I don't see that one there in your things. Then the second one is
Did you open up the applying the tools of artistic critique module?
I know I'm exclusively in the assignments where it shows you all the assignments.
Okay, if you navigate down here, if you go to quizzes, it will show up on the quizzes right here.
Okay.
And I don't really like people to go through specifically the assignments section and the reason is because the assignments will not open up until you do everything before them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just exclusively kind of looking at this, but I always look at the assignments so you don't suggest that just to make sure to kind
I
of
would not.
separate which ones are the assignments and which are the modules, but I got myself with the module, but I like to see the assignment part so I know which ones are exclusively assignments. But no.
I'm showing you the assignments page, and you get these headings: attendance and participation, projects, research report, and assignments and quizzes. The tools of artistic critique is right at the top.
On the
But
assignment,
you aren't going to see any of these other ones until they're opened up.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I in the quizzes I can see the tools of artistic critique due on January 11. Yeah, I
Yes,
can see that one.
in the assignments page, they're grouped by how much they're worth in the overall grade. And you can find them. The quizzes are going to be under assignments and quizzes.
Okay.
So there's 5 sections there. Yeah, and the reason why I discourage that a little bit is that if you go to the assignments and you start trying to do these things, it won't allow you to until you've gone through and opened up everything else preceding that in each of the modules.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm not trying to do that. It's just a guide on dates, what's first, what's second, what's coming up. That's all I do it for. But
Okay.
it's in this class, and I don't know, it just won't work just to try to do those assignments. And I agree with you because you have to learn, you have to answer questions that are part of readings on the module and all of that. That's pretty logical.
Well, and I one of the reasons I do it that way too is because I've had several classes where people were complaining that they couldn't turn in things and they weren't able to access them to turn them in because you have to go through the previous stuff in the module, but they didn't want to do that. They wanted to sidestep it and just go right to the assignment. And like you said, that completely um, avoids every part of the learning process.
Mm.
So
Yeah, that wouldn't work. At least on 2D class, 3D class, any designing class, I think you need more information rather than just going directly to an assignment. So I do agree with that. I do have a question. On the prep for this class, you made us download one of the geometric from the right, one of the geometric
yeah, we'll talk about
figures.
that in just a bit.
Okay.
So yeah, I my brain is kind of like a pachinko machine. I am talking about these things first, and
Mm-hmm.
then that ties directly into module one,
Okay.
what we're
Sounds
talking
good.
about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we talked about applying the tools of artistic critique. Again, this is not the quiz is due this Sunday, but the other things aren't due until almost the end of the term. So they aren't due until April. But we need to have the tools. We need to understand those tools because we're going to be addressing them throughout the semester. Okay, and then I wanted to talk about artist research and service learning really quick. And you'll notice that through there we have module 7A, 7B, 7C, and 7D. And I've opened up a lot of them and everybody saw a lot of the assignments all of a sudden. And I wanted to explain how these assignments work. So opening up 7B as well. In 7A, everybody's going to read about the artist research. Everybody's going to do the artist list. Everybody's going to go to this page and learn about First Do No Harm and watch the video called The Second Disaster. Everybody's doing this. And the reason I want everybody to do that is because you have an option in this class to either do an artist research project that has several steps to it, or a service learning project that has several steps to it. But you don't have the option to do both. I don't want you to do both. Both of them, either of them, take a significant amount of effort, and I space them out throughout the term. So you have a little bit here and a little bit there. But if you do one, I don't want you to be responsible for the other. And so right here in this assignment, artist research or service learning, what this is, it's a really short assignment. All you're going to do is let me know if you're going to pursue the artist research route or the service learning route. And as soon as I know that, I will take your name off the due dates for the other one. So if you're doing service learning, I'll go through and remove all the artist research assignments from your uh, material that you have in your calendar. If you're going to do the artist research option, I'm going to remove everything from the service learning route. Now, but notice that doesn't happen until you've already gone through these 5 pages or 4 pages. You need to go through these 4 pages. And the reason is we talk about the artist research, applying models of critical thinking to this. And I want you to read this whole thing to see if that's what you want to do. You're going to be talking about traits which describe yourself. You're not going to share that with me ever, but they're going to be essentially your listing self-identifiers. And the reason I want you to do that is so that when you go through the artist list, you can be aware of how similar or how different the artists are to you. Now, if we go to the artist list, you'll notice each of the modules have 5 to 7 artists in them of different work that kind of shows off what we're trying to deal with in that module. So these are 6 production modules. And I want you to just pick one artist from each of these. And this is what everybody needs to do. It's the artist list assignment. What you're going to do is go to a search engine, type in Andy Goldsworthy, type in the word art, and then find an image of one of the artworks that they did that you see in the search engine, and give a very brief 3 to 5 word description of it. And I'll do an example of this right away. So I'm going to do Andy Goldsworthy. That's the name from this list I'll pick. Notice there's 5 people. You only pick one. So I'm going to pick Andy Goldsworthy. I'm going to plug his name in here. And I'm going to say art or artwork. Do a search. And then it starts showing me images of his artwork. Now, looking at these, I like this one. And there are people that copycat these artists, so make sure that the artwork is of that artist. There's a couple people that will do stuff like this that are assignments to evoke Andy Goldsworthy, and it's not Andy Goldsworthy art. But we can go to his official website even. And look at some of the projects that he's done. Find something that we like. So I'm going to go to this February one. I kind of like this stuff. These are called 12 sheet paintings. That's what the whole series is. So I'm going to, okay, what it looks like he's done is he's put paper down, put something in there like water or food for the sheep to eat. He's put the paper in the middle of a mud field. So the artwork is the sheep's feet on that large piece of paper, and then he takes the feeding tray off. So you have these things that look almost like sunbursts. So that's what the artwork is. So what I'm going to say for this assignment, since I've picked Andy Goldsworthy, I'm going to write down Andy Goldsworthy dash 12 sheep paintings dash a large piece of paper that sheep with sheep tracks on it. And it's just a short description to remind me, nobody else, but to show that I have gone and looked at his artwork. Then I'll go to module 2, pick one of these. I'll probably pick Ruth Asawa. I like her quite a bit. Module 3, I may pick Henry Moore. Module 4, maybe I'll do Buckminster Fuller. Module 5, let's do Deborah Butterfield. Actually, I like Anna Tsui and Deborah Butterfield both, so I don't know which one I'd pick. I'll pick one of those two. Module 6, Nick Cave is one of my heroes, so I'd probably pick him. Christo and Jean-Claude, they're also awesome. Judith Scott. So there's some really great ones here. Pam Bowman lives in, I believe she lives in Provo. So that would be really cool too. And then, so that gives me 6 of the artists, do the same routine for all 6 of those. And then I also pick 6 of these artists. So there's 33 artists here that I can pick from, and I'll just get 6 of them. And that's essentially what the assignment is, where it'll look like a list of 12 different people, and I can show you somebody already did this, and I'll show you what their assignment looks like. It wasn't for this class, it was for somebody else's class. So we'll find that really quick. When Jason and I first started doing this kind of stuff, we wanted people to go through that entire list, and it would take them about 2.5 hours to do it all. And then we thought, well, wait a sec, you guys are going to be doing enough research during the semester anyway. We don't need to force you to do all that. So that's why we're only doing 12. So let me show you what somebody has done. So Mabel, can you see this?
Yeah. Hmm.
So basically it's the person, the name of the work, and then like a one sentence description of what it is. And that's
Hmm.
it. They did it for all 12. Now it's important that I clarify that because and this becomes confusing for the people that want to do the artist research. I say it several times, and it's just worth revisiting again. You use somebody from this artist list, just whoever's artwork struck you the most, and be aware you when you start doing this list, you've already gone through and thought about your self-identifiers. If you really like El Anatsui, a big identifier that separates him from you is that you live here and he lives in Ghana, or anything like that. And I think Nick Cave is in Chicago. So maybe that's one thing that you're aware of the difference. But um, as you go through, if you decide you're going to do the artist research, that be aware of those kinds of things, but also know you have to pick one of those 75 artists. You can't come up with somebody else. And then this first do no harm. This is referencing the service learning project, where this gives you an opportunity for the service learning aspect. It gives you an opportunity to use your own unique skill set and bring that to the community. Find something that the community that they find a need in the community and meet it with your own particular skill set. And then this is a video that just talks about that awareness. But perhaps before you write down if you're going to do artist research or service learning, click on these other things and look at them and look at the assignment as well. And again, you can access anything um, once you've already clicked on it. So I would just go through this module, just click on everything one at a time, and then go back through and look at both the assignment for the service learning and the assignment for the artist research and see which one you want to do.
Hmm.
And once you decide, let me know. So for service learning, what you're going to be doing is writing down some of the things, qualities that you bring to the table. Perhaps start thinking about who you might approach. But you don't even have to do very much. This is mostly self-reflection right here, where you're responding to that video that everybody had to watch. And that's pretty much what you do for service learning. So you're getting into that mindset. And for artist research, what you're going to be doing for this first assignment is looking at that list of 75, considering your own personal self-identifiers, and then decide which artist you want to talk about. And you're going to submit that artist on a discussion so everybody in the class can see that. And the reason I have to do that is because sometimes before we started doing this, we get maybe 3 people in the class picking the same artist.
Mm.
But everybody, whoever picks their artist for artist research first gets that one. And then,
Hmm.
whoever comes after, look at their discussion and pick a different one if somebody else has already picked the one you were interested in. So again, and I want to articulate this again, you only do either artist research or service learning. You do not do both. So before you do this, pick before you do either of these assignments, go ahead and read them, decide which one you want to do, and then go back here and tell me which one you're going to do. And then you will only see these assignments pull up or show up, or you'll only see these assignments show up. You won't see both. Down here, you're going to be doing a little bit more. And then after that, you'll do another round where you do an additional thing for each one. But I only want people to only do either artist research or service learning. Now, one of the big questions I get is if I declare and I change my mind later, can I change it back? Absolutely. One thing that is frustrating to me is you guys have so much to offer for service learning, and sometimes the people that you contact are just not interested in taking advantage of you, which seems silly to me because you have a unique set of life experiences that can really benefit anybody you want to do service for. But sometimes we'll get halfway through the semester and people will stop returning your emails or returning your calls. They're no longer interested. In that case, I've had people tell me, "Hey, I need to do artist research because I simply can't do this." Then switching back is no problem. Or if you're on the other side and you're doing artist research, but you found out you do have a service opportunity and you can work with somebody, it's a unique circumstance, let me know and you can switch back. You can switch to the other. That's not a big deal. All the assignments you can resubmit, update them, whatever, as many times as you need to. So if you want to switch back and forth a couple times, you can. I don't know why you'd want to, but if you'd like to, go for it. All right, so does that explain what's going on here?
Yeah. No, this is really good. The only
Okay,
question that I have, and it might be a stupid question, is why does it say module 7 here?
because
Because like
all
then
the
you
all
have
the creator
module
modules,
2, then you
right?
have
All the creator modules are labeled 1 through 6. That's all the stuff that you're actually making. And I put 7 at the end. So you have module 6 is contemporary processes. I put 7 at the end, and then we thought, I don't want people to be overwhelmed, and so that's why they're labeled. 7A, you do this bit. 7B, you did this portion. 7C, you do this portion. So 1 through 6 are creator modules, and 7 is the artist research or service learning.
Yeah, I think that's just a little bit confusing on how other classes are laid out, but it's good to hear your thinking, like how you organized it.
Yeah, I was dropped on my head several times as a child, so I do not think like your other teachers.
It's all good. We're artists. We don't we don't really think like regular people. We're crazy. So I get it. I get it.
Okay, so but and another thing I think that's important too. I will do things like that specifically just to target curiosity. Why are we doing it that way? And if you see it, it's spaced out, and the last thing is, it all culminates in one final portion of or one final assignment. I don't know. In my head, it kind of makes sense, as I didn't know what else to do because all the other modules are numbered. So.
Mhm.
But okay. And so for this, the course overview, we have the syllabus, instructor information, all that kind of jazz. Prep for first day of class. Everybody should have gotten the email that I sent out. I sent it out a week early, um, but it did not go to anybody in section 1. So I sent that out again either on Sunday or Monday. And so I want to really iterate on in that email. We talk about 7 different ways of getting hold of the textbook. And if anybody doesn't have access to the textbook and it's not going to arrive until after the due date on the quiz, you can either tell me and get an extension on doing the quiz or go to the Fulton Library. Jason has about 6 copies set aside for us to go and use in the Fulton Library.
Yeah,
And
so I'm the
several
one
people,
that emailed you about that.
okay,
And
well, actually,
but
there are
I
about
went to the
5 people that
library.
did.
I went to the
Okay.
library. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
were you the one who scanned the pages?
Yeah, I scanned the
Okay.
papers, which
All
is
right.
really easy, takes like no time,
Okay.
and it's
All right.
free. It's free. And then you just get a PDF email to your account, to your email account, and then you have access to it.
That is a perfect solution. And because, like I said, there were 5 or 6 other people who also emailed me. I told them the same thing as I told you. And I think one other person scanned it, and another person is taking the quiz in the library while they're holding the book in front of them. And you
Yeah.
can do that if you can get it to work on your phone. That's a great solution too.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that's brilliant, Mabel, I'm glad that it worked for you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
The syllabus, I do talk about a lot of stuff in the syllabus. We're not going to go through it all. If you're watching this and you did not get the email, let me know immediately, and I will send a copy of the email to you. Sometimes it doesn't go through. Now you will notice in the syllabus, it does talk about in-class attendance expectations. Um, we don't have that because this section is online. And we've already talked about what the online attendance is expected. So, you either attend live like Mabel's doing, or you watch the video. And I do say in the letter that that uh, most of the people, it's pretty typical that people that attend live are also the kind of people that get A's in this class. I've also noticed that people that watch the video within 24 hours after it's published and I send out the link, they're also the kind of people that get A's, which is really nice because that meant that last semester's class, um, I think it was 80% of everybody got A's. So really very good. And I want you to go through, I do have links on here. The accessibility services on campus is very important. If there are issues with concerns about test taking and stuff like that, go to them right away because they will send all your instructors letters that then the instructors are responsible for. This is important. I have kids that go to UVU, and they have had experiences where an instructor thought they were just making an excuse and ignored the letter. And as soon as they saw that the letter was in their email, the situation changed. They realized that my child was not making up excuses. Professional. And that I really appreciate that. But the reason why if you need the accessibility services extended to you, is that teachers cannot legally make um, sanctions for you unless they have that letter. If they do, they can get in trouble. So be mindful of that. And the accessibility services are so good. Any issue that you have, um, if they can't help you directly, they can point you to where to go to get the help you need or to get the support you need. Office of Teaching and Learning Student Resources is also excellent source. Take advantage of both of those. So that's that. I'll let you go through the rest of the syllabus yourself. Now, instructor information, you'll notice that one of the assignments you have is everybody needs to describe themselves and then also comment on three other people. Um, that I put a due date on that. It's not going to really be due until next weekend. I want everybody to go in there and make sure that they do it, get an opportunity to do that. Now, I sleep about 4 to 5 hours a night. And the time that I'm awake, I'm watching documentaries, I'm reading books, stuff. I typically read anywhere from 100 to 250 books a year just because I'm a nerd. I don't have anything better to do. I um, so my experience, I was born and raised downwind of 5 nuclear power plants in southeast Washington State. And even though my parents were pretty normal, my brothers and I'm pretty sure that all of us are on the spectrum. I only two of us have been diagnosed. The other two are afraid to go in. But I was also raised with three Dene brothers and a Shoshone sister. So my perspective of things is quite a bit different than the stereotypical white middle American person who's what I look like. And I've my education has come from Wise University in Jordan, actually two universities in Iran. I've worked with schools in Australia and Tajikistan and Turkey. Uh, I I do a lot of stuff drawn from around the world. Um, I am a pluralist chaplain, and I'm also a certified alchemist. So lots of different kinds of stuff. But I mention all that because in this class, everybody's required to take this class. What that means is we have artists of all sizes, shapes, and modalities. I think that's what makes this exciting. I talk a little bit about what this kind of stuff. I design and build stained glass. I do historical repairs. I've worked on all the tabernacles along the Wasatch Front, but I also have gone overseas and learned miniature painting from a Persian expert, a Persian master. Uh,
What did you
it's
do in Chile?
what's that?
What did you do in Chile? Chile.
I was actually assessing earthquake damage on stained glass windows,
Hmm.
and
I'm from Chile. That's why I ask.
oh really? It was
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Concepcion LDS temple.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I've been to China. I taught stained glass workshops in China and worked with people there. But just, and I mention all that just because my life is kind of a smorgasbord. And it's always exciting to me to see the really different spectra of abilities, capacities, and interests. Every class is completely different. And when more people come in, it's nice to hear, if they're 2D, 3D, what kind of stuff they like to do, because everybody's going to be different. And that's so much fun to see.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
that
I
means
agree.
that when we start sharing our artwork, everybody's going to be blown away by how amazing everybody else's stuff is. So it gets really exciting to me.
That's cool. Mm.
And I do talk about how this course works a little bit. Like I said, my brain is kind of a pachinko machine. I have never refused an extension to anybody. And like I said, things will be due the next week. We will talk about or 3 days later, we'll talk about everything and do critiques. And because we do not meet together, I want everybody to have an opportunity to change, to evaluate, change, and resubmit their stuff. So every single assignment you can resubmit 17 times if you want. So if you miss points on the quiz, go back, look at what I said, why you missed the points, and retake it. There's no excuse for everybody not to get a perfect score on every assignment. If you miss a couple things, go back, redo it, resubmit it, let me know. Okay, and that's how last semester, everybody who got A's, they all took advantage of that. So resubmitting is perfect. And we've already talked about attendance, prep for first day of class. Now I'm getting back to your question because it's really pertinent. If we go to polyhedra.net, and I'm going to share this with you. The majority of students in this class come from a predominantly 2D or digital background. And the reason why I want you to do this is it preps you for the house that you're going to be making, but also there's something really interesting that happens. Uh, Mabel, what was the shape that you picked?
So is the now I have to look because it's like the name is crazy. It's a pyramid, of course, but it has like a second name on that. Let me see.
Is it any of these pyramids?
No, I'm not seeing it there. I'm not seeing it there.
Okay.
But let me see. I did submit and you graded it already. And it's here. I have it here. So it's a hexagrammic pyramid.
Oh, okay.
Hexagrammic. H.
All right. Let me
Hexa.
see. I'm going to see if I can find that submission
Oh,
really
it's
quick.
right there. It's right there. It's here. It's on 1, 2, 3, 4. And the fourth column, you're really close. And fourth column, starting from left to right on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth row. That's where it's at.
Okay. Fourth column, fifth
Yep,
row.
there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is excellent. what I love about this site is the guy who put this together is a geometer and it's just super brilliant. But each of them are designed, you can print them out with a regular printer. Notice it's flat. All you have to do is cut it out and then fold it up and down according to, whether how you see the lines and put it together. And what happens is this demonstrates what the whole purpose of this class is. You're going from two-dimensional to three-dimensional perspective, where you're starting with the flat page, cutting it out, folding it, putting it together, and suddenly, hey presto, magic happens, and it's three-dimensional.
Yeah, I'm a pattern designer studying in Spain, so I'm familiar with like the idea of 2D to 3D.
Okay, great. And
Yeah.
what is interesting about two-thirds of the students that take this class who are predominantly 2D, in
Mm-hmm.
the first couple assignments, they start getting headaches. And sometimes the headaches are pretty bad because they haven't had to think this way before. As a pattern designer, you're going to have an advantage because you understand what the process is. That's really exciting. Next week when we start talking about houses and stuff, I want to hear your perspectives particularly. So I think that'll be really exciting. So
It's
yeah, but that's why, and we're not going to use it for anything else other than when you do that first assignment, you're going to share what your object is. When you do the prep for first day of class, you're going to share what your object is. So that is excellent.
okay.
So thank you, Mabel. I'm glad that you already did that and submitted it because you understand exactly what I'm talking about.
So do you have to take a picture and then submit that? The only thing I did was just mention that my ship is an hexagramic and there wasn't anything else. I haven't seen anything else saying that I have to actually take a picture of this and
No,
talk
I
about
don't
it.
think
No, right?
I don't think you need to. It
Okay.
just the fact that you did it, that's the important thing.
Okay.
And like for this Canvas tour of students, the vital part about that is that you've done it in the last, since you signed up to UVU. So anybody who has to take a picture of that badge or whatever and submit it, and that's good for that assignment.
Okay.
Now we did already talk about attendance. I do want to talk about the kit. The kits should all be done and available. If you go to the room that is the 3D design shop, it
Mm-hmm.
is, where on the fifth floor
Yeah.
where the restrooms and the printer is? Yeah, it's right there. If you go in that door, should be right against the wall on the left-hand side. And I will, after we're done tonight, I will make this assignment. Actually, I'll open it up right now. For this assignment, for
Mm-hmm.
credit, you must submit proof that the kit is in your possession. So you go and pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to edit it and make it. I'm going to say that this is due on Sunday, but because of how crazy everything is. Actually, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be due on the Tuesday. That'll be just fine. Because of how crazy everything is, you can go in and either you get the kit yourself or get somebody else to pick it up for you.
Yeah. And are
And
they ready? Like I'm going to the school tomorrow again, but after tomorrow I'm not going until Monday. Are they done? Or
I was told that they should all be there.
okay.
If you go in and you can kind of see where they should be, if they are not there, let me know,
Okay.
and I'll find out. But what you'll also see is nearby there's a yellow pad where you write
Their
down.
name.
It looks
Okay.
kind of like this. You write down who you are and which
Mm-hmm.
which section you're in,
Okay.
and that kind of information. And for this, you just submit a photo of the kit in your possession, and um, just tell me, yes, I wrote down my info.
Okay. Sounds good.
Now, but before you do that, and this is for everybody in the class watching this video, before you do that, make sure that it says it's for the right section. And the section we are in is X01.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and the reason I say that is I was told it's right here. need to be double check that because every semester there's usually a half a dozen sections of this class. So just double check and make sure it's for the right section. All right, does that all make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for your time and everything. Yeah.
Sure thing. But I want to make sure that everybody understands that. Double check, again, double check that it says the right section, write down the right info. Last semester, I had 2 or 3 students grab it from a different section. They had to
Mhm.
return it because each section has a slightly different kit.
Different. Okay. So
Yeah.
the
And
section is
so,
so important. Okay. To
right,
pick it
right,
up from the
right.
right part. Mm-hmm.
And it helps us keep track of how many kits people have taken and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Now
Yeah.
that kit is really vital for everything that you make. It gives you the backbone and spine for everything that you're producing. But I also want you to feel free to add your own stuff to it. Say, for example, you love watercolor. Use watercolor in your stuff. Say, for example, you live near a fun park. Use the stuff that falls off the trees in your thing. Whatever you want to do, add texture, add color, add design from your own experience and from stuff you already have on hand.
Sounds good. So when
Now
you're
this
producing, a quick question, when you're making the house, for example, do you also you have to place it on an ambience that kind of makes sense with the house style that you're doing, right? But do you actually also
Not necessarily.
construct? Not necessarily. Okay, that was my question. Like, do you also build the 3D place where you're placing the house or not
I
really?
would
No?
I would recommend not.
Okay.
Now I want to show you examples of what other students have done really quick, and I want to show, and this just gives an example of each of them did several different photos. I'm going to try to show only like one photo from each one. All right, Mabel, can you see this?
Yes.
All
Hmm.
right. So this person, they used popsicle sticks, paper, little bits of wood, and other scraps to make this. It's not a typical house, it's a trailer house.
Hmm.
I think it's beautifully done. They work with watercolor quite a bit, and so they stained the wood that they used. Did a little bit of staining on the paper. I thought they did a beautiful job. It looks like a trailer, but you can see this thing is only like 6 or 7 inches long. And the photo they took was just on a countertop at home.
Okay.
And when you look at when you look at that assignment, you're also going to notice that I give parameters for each of the photos. I'm gonna go back to that really quick. At the bottom of that assignment, I've given several photos of other examples. Most of them are really good, and several of them are pretty decent. Notice that in the 5 photos, they need to include these kinds of things. And you can describe the photos. This one is my close-up, this one is my distance view, and maybe you're doing one where your close-up is in an unusual setting. And so you still need to include 5 photos, but maybe one of them is both the close-up and the unusual setting. And another one was just one you played around with.
Okay.
And do you know what I mean? All
Yes.
5 of these must be present. You're not going to be able to do them all in the same photo, but if you want to cross them over, that's fine. Just label them. Just let me know. And even in the comment section of the assignment, you can even describe it. My photo labeled number 1 is the distance view. My
Hmm.
photo labeled number 2 is the unexpected lighting. I was
Okay.
playing around with the filter on my close-up, and so that's what I did for both. So the third one is both 1 and 5, and I've included some of the extra photos that I took because I thought they looked really cool, and because we have to include 5 photos. All right. Or you could just do maybe the first one just focuses on close up, second one is distance view, like that. That's fine. You could do it. That one is, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. I think the simplest one is to concentrate on one of those headings for each of the 5 photos. That's the simplest.
Hmm.
So let me show you a couple of these images. So this is from far away or an unexpected setting. And you can see that they did not build the area that it goes into. They just built the house. I think this is another really beautiful example of the house. What I like about it is that the person is using very cool textures and making it look really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it a lot more fun to photograph.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that I don't like is when it's just made out of flat paper. Like everybody has file folders in their thing, and you use the file folders to build the spine. This one I think is okay, but I don't like it as much as that previous one because there's not a lot of texture on it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on, but you guys are all art students. You guys can add cool texture.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
draw cool texture, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one because this particular one, they only lit it from inside, so all you see is the shadow. I think that's pretty fantastic because all you see is this black outline. That's kind of cool. And then you see the reflection of the windows on the surface that they set it on. That's
Yeah.
kind of a fun one. This one, it's a fun setting, but I don't like, they did not spend a lot of time making the house. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the craftsmanship is really up to what I would expect from you guys. All of you are professional artists. Do something fun. Like for this, one of the cooler ones I've seen is somebody glued string onto the roof, and then they put foil on it and pushed the foil around the string that they had glued on so it looked like a tin roof.
Mm-hmm.
That was really a neat application of texture. And you could splash paint on this and give it a little bit of visual texture. If,
Exactly.
you know, you
Yeah.
know,
I
so,
mean, they could have done a lot more with that one. Mm-hmm.
yeah, the house design itself is kind of fun looking, but you guys are professional artists. You can do more. This is a fun lighting effect one. That was pretty wild. Kind of gives me motion sickness. I really like this one.
That one's cool.
And you can see the person made this little house and they put it, and then one of the windows is lit from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a fun setting for it. This person also set their house outside and took pictures around like a meter box on the exterior of a building. And they did it in a little narrow space they found between two buildings. That was kind of fun.
Cool.
They had a lot of fun taking the photos. But again, I love that because it has so much texture in it. It's so engaging.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a fun design for a house, but again, not a lot of thought went into the texture for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This one, they spent some really good energy on the roof. I think they could have done a little bit more to the front of the house, and but it is. I really love what they did on the roof. And Mabel, I'm really glad that you can see all this that I'm talking about. Now, this is a fun one. This person, let's see, I'm trying to shrink it down a bit. There we go.
Mm.
This person didn't do an awful lot of physical texture. They did some, and you can see that right here on these, where they just cut out some pieces of cardboard, painted it, and put it on top. What is fun for me is that you see how much energy they put to the roof, and they did a lot of texture with their painting.
Yeah, and the shape
Well,
of the house is unique as well.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun design for a house.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Yeah.
added this little element which is quirky, and this door is a flat piece of paper, but they painted it to give it that texture, and I love that. I think
Mm-hmm.
this, and you can see how they did use the cardboard right here.
Yeah.
So that's another really good example.
Nice.
This one I think is an interesting idea, and they were trying to make a lighthouse, but I think you can see this needs to have more effort put into it to really give it texture, give it ideas. Because this it's just basically a pill bottle on a lid, painting more texture onto it, giving it more girth, giving it more strength in the silhouette would
I
have gone a
agree.
long way. It's a
Yeah,
good
it gives a
idea.
little bit more realism.
Yeah, it's a good idea, but you can see that the idea is starting. It's not really um, manifested.
Hmm.
Now, this is one of my favorite houses of all time, and you can see where they used cardboard and they used slats of cardboard for the siding of the house. It's kind of a quirky design. It's not entirely straight. They use corrugated. They use paper that they folded into corrugation for the window blinds. But this is really fun because they used a lot of paint to give it texture as well, and it has a
Hmm.
lot of personality.
Yeah,
So this is
that
another
looks
good one.
nice. Hmm.
I think it goes right next to that the trailer that we saw at the very beginning.
Hmm. Yep.
Okay, this is another house that starts with a good idea, and they were trying to do like a Paul Clay style house, but again, I'm not really happy with the craftsmanship because you can
Hmm.
see it's just kind of pasted together. They could have done more to give texture to it and a little bit more energy to it,
Hmm.
and but this is a really solid start. This is an example of a really creative photo. And I think this is another example of a house that had a good start to it, had some nice things going on. But I think that if they had painted more texture onto it, this could this could really be looking worthwhile. I think this is another excellent start. And I love having the puppy in the photo is really cute. This is another one where again it starts really good. But like the windows, one of the reasons why you have windows in there, if you're taking photos of it, it's always fun to have the windows actually cut out so you can see the light going through or coming out from it.
Hmm.
So, and the door is just put on instead of when you're doing something like this, if you make the doors and windows a little bit functional, it's so much more fun to photograph
Hmm.
because then you can kind of see inside. So I want people to spend at least 4 or 5 hours just making the house to get it started, and then spend several more hours just applying texture. Make it fun to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fun project.
Well, it can be fun. I think some of the most disappointing ones is where people started with an idea and it just didn't go anywhere. This is one that I think is an interesting idea to start, but again, the windows are just kind of glued on. They should have been cut in so that you can actually light it from the inside.
Mhm.
This and there's so many different surfaces where this a texture could be applied to make this an enjoyable thing. And I'm glad that you're a pattern designer and you understand this kind of stuff, so you really see what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I want to share. This is something that I found on Instagram, and I have included links to different YouTube videos that show you how to make houses and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I want everybody to do a little bit of research to see where they can find. Because on that assignment, I do include at least 4 or 5 different things, YouTube videos where you can see how to make a house. And I love this one. So we're just going to watch this video. It's from Instagram, and the YouTube video, I'll mention that we put this in here. But I want people to just watch this really quick video. And it just shows this person is a watercolorist. They're not a 3D sculptor,
Mhm.
but they found a very simple pattern from probably off of YouTube or something like that. They drew it out and look how much texture they're applying with their watercolor and gouache. It just makes it so much more engaging and fun. And if you're doing
It's
something
really
like this,
beautiful, yeah. Mhm.
I would even recommend cutting out some of those window areas so you can light it from the inside. Or I've had students before where they did used plastic translucency
Hmm.
paper that you can get from the on-campus print shop, and they painted the windows with markers so they look like stained glass, and that was so much fun. I think they did a great job giving
Oh,
texture
they
and
did an
life to
ab
this house.
such a good
It's
job with the
yeah,
paint and the
it's
drawing.
really
Mhm.
beautiful. So, and if you're not a painter, you can apply this texture with stuff you have around the house. Now, this house itself is about half the size or half the height that I would want you to do. I
Yeah.
want you to make a house at least as big as your two fists together. Like that's like a really large grapefruit, and even a little bit bigger if you want. Something that is you can put in like the crook of branches in a tree that you can take around
Mm-hmm.
with you. It needs to be sturdy enough that you can move it around and make it interesting to photograph.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like good 7 inches tall, maybe, or could be 6 inches around that.
Yeah, and I some of these kind of show that. And
Yeah,
let's see, I give reference to it, the size in this
6 inches.
somewhere. I
Yeah.
can't remember. Did we do that at the
Where it
top?
is. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a spec proximity. Um, but yeah, like I can tell that they're about 6 inches. Look, I didn't I
Yeah, we're right there at the top. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
write
what
that
it
in, but
looked
yeah,
like.
six
Yeah.
inches in the longest dimension. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right,
it is
good.
there in the first.
In the first sentence, it's there.
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't seen it. I don't think I
Okay.
have seen read everything on here, but yeah, it's a fun project, I think.
And then I include this website I really like, Paper Home. And as soon as it loads, I'll share it with you. Okay, this Charles Young is a sculptor, and he's actually done these animations for a lot of international brands.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want you to look at just the creativity of his house design. And I don't want yours to be that simple. We looked at texture. I think it gets really boring, but you can see what kind of stuff he used to bring texture in.
Yeah,
And you can paint
crazy.
over this or apply it, glue
Mm-hmm.
things on and make your shingles and stuff. And it's kind of fun to see all his shapes. But I want people to look at his stuff to get ideas for shapes for the houses. And then this also shows you how to construct simple cardboard houses. Again, keeping in mind that size.
Yeah,
And if you want to go a little longer, I think this one is seven
that's a
inches
good one.
tall.
Yeah,
And the rest of these are pretty much okay. They're all right. I'm going to go through and switch them up with some images that we just looked
yeah.
at
I
today,
think that
I
would
think.
be better, like just to remove the ones that are not a good example, just so
Yeah,
people don't get
I think you're
confused that that's
you're
like a
absolutely right.
reference to it.
I will do that tonight and remove a couple of those other ones and replace them with the good ones. Like the trailer, I particularly liked. I thought that looked really good. And of course, I accidentally closed those out, so I have to go back through and find the links again. But
Fun.
I will definitely make that change. But you're absolutely right. I need to show examples of the good ones.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, because otherwise then we might see that and say, oh, it's acceptable, I guess, if those are the student examples, they're, you know,
Right.
acceptable finish. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
And
We want to
they are
see the
not.
best ones, so we aim for the best when we're making them.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Okay, I will take care of that and make that change tonight so everybody can see that. And I'm just making a note here. And I will include a link to that Instagram image as well in the attendance so everybody can see that and make a note of that on the video as well. So what you'll see by tomorrow morning, if you're not watching this live, if you're anybody who's not Mabel, um, I will have the YouTube video in the attendance thing, and I will do that just as quickly as I can. And again, to get full points for the attendance, you'll watch this video, and you'll watch that little the short 6.5 minute video where it's applying the tools of artistic critique to a Henry Moore sculpture. You'll write down 4 things from this video and 1 thing from that one, and that's how you get the 5 points for attendance. So, and then I will also in the assignment I will update it so we see photos of really good examples as well as um, a link to that Instagram video so you can see the person painting the house. I think that'll be good. So I will do that. All right. Do you have any remaining questions for me today?
No, no, you answered everything and everything was really clear. Thank you.
All right, you are welcome. Well, thank you, Mabel, for being the backbone for today's class, and I look forward to visiting with you again next week.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you
Okay.
later.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.